I'm going to share a few words. Warm welcome to all the live viewers. Thank you so much to everyone who took time to watch the replay. Good morning. The sun is rising where I am. It's a very special time of the day. Have you noticed that birds sing at sunrise and sunset? Crickets and bugs chirp. It's very interesting. Many traditions consider it a very sacred time of the day. To the best of my ability, I try and take some time and reflect and pray a little bit at sunrise and sunset. And speaking of special times, our dear friend Bruno Gröning said that the season of Advent from December 1st through January 6th is a very special time of the year. My understanding of what Bruno taught is that grace and help is always available. And during this special season, there's some extra grace, extra goodness available. I haven't seen the direct quote, but I saw someone else sort of paraphrase, and that Bruno said, again, this is just a paraphrase, that during the season of Advent, the gates of heaven open, and goodness and grace flood out during this season. So it's certainly my experience. When I tune in during Advent, I feel something. I feel peace. I generally feel peace when I tune in, but more so during the season of Advent. So I hope people take extra time during the remaining part of Advent. I'm sure going to try to. And as Bruno said, Christmas Eve is the most sacred time of the year, this evening. For some of us, that's coming up for me, it's coming up in about 8 or 9 hours, sunset. For some of you, the sun is setting now. And so I really hope, and I really invite and encourage people to really take time once the sun sets on the night of Christmas Eve. Bruno spoke about that some of these Christmas songs that we take for granted actually contain deep truths, specifically Christmas songs. And I'm just thinking, like, "Oh, Holy Night." And there was a song in one of Bruno's speeches that he quoted, that the Christ child returns to earth again each Christmas Eve. And I can't say that that's true. What I can say in my experience is, many times I've stayed up during Christmas Eve and done a vigil, meaning stayed up all night, and I've had some very special and very profound experiences. It's my intention to do so tonight. I may broadcast live some of it, we'll see. What's on my mind, well, many things are on my mind and heart this day, but one of them is a quote of Bruno Gröning's, that truth breaks new ground, and truth breaks through, and only truth endures. Now those are some very deep statements. And of course, when I think of truth, the first thing I think of is like an idea, right? Something I might say with words. And the further I go on the spiritual path, I'm becoming more and more convinced that truth, with a capital T, is really beyond words, that we can't really capture God in words. And I love that Bruno Gröning he used other words to describe God. He would just call God the good, das Guten. He would call God Leben, life, aliveness, existence. He would call God Ordnung, harmony, order. He would say that love is God. Because the word God is it's like a sound, right? The word, it doesn't have a meaning. Like we call this a pen, and the letters P-E-N, and the word pen, it's like pointing towards the thing. But when we call God love, or we call God aliveness, or we call God order, we're not just pointing towards the thing, we're actually, you could say, invoking some of the truth about that thing. So that's been very deep for me to to feel God less. And I think about I think about God all the time. I'm a thinker, if you guys haven't noticed. I like to ponder and pontificate. I try not to pontificate too much. But Bruno Gröning said to be Verbindung. Verbindung is a German word, connected, joined, in union, in communion. To be Verbindung, deeply connected with God, that is everything. And of course, that goes beyond words. So on this upcoming holy night, my prayer is going to be that truth breaks through in me, that I'm able to release everything that's not true and to live by. Bruno said, in fact, he said in one of his Christmas speeches, he said, stand by the good. He used such simple words, but what does it mean to stand by the good? For me, it means to constantly be seeking connection and communion with goodness and be guided by it. To constantly try to do it constantly, to ask myself, what's the next right thing? What's the next harmonious thing I can do? How can I make life more wonderful? What's the next step throughout the day? Those were a lot of words. Let's spend another minute or so tuning into the peace of the season. Even as a child, before I wasn't particularly spiritual, and I certainly hadn't heard of Bruno Gröning, I remember on Christmas Day, I could always feel such a deep peace. And on this path, many of us are seeking healing and, from a certain perspective, seeking enlightenment or liberation from all evil, all negativity. And let's not overlook the gift of sweet peace. And as we pursue these things, it can be experienced here and now. Beloved life, aliveness, love, goodness, harmony, limitless goodness, limitless love, limitless power, aka God, our Maker, beloved Christ, our very dear friend Bruno Gröning. Thank you so much for one more day of life. Please help us to make the most of this day. Help us to appreciate all the little blessings. Please help us to be spreaders of blessings. Please help us to take in the good and share the good. During this season, help us to spread good cheer. Help us to welcome peace. Help us to be willing to let go of what's not peaceful, of what doesn't work. Please help us to open to truth and to release what's not true. And help us to commune with the truth that's beyond words, that the words just point towards. Please help us make the best use of time every day, and especially during this sacred season. It's my view that each one of us will face challenges and have blessings today, and will have opportunities. Please help us to face the challenge, appreciate the blessings, and notice and take the opportunities to grow, the opportunities to give, the opportunities to change. to turn around, back to trust in limitless goodness, back to living in harmony with nature, and back to the recognition of the inherent divinity in every human being. At the end of the documentary, there's a quote from Bruno where it says, "Love, life, God. God is everywhere." So please, beloved source and beloved helpers, help us to see, feel, and know that not only God is God with us always, but that God is everywhere. Merry Christmas Eve, one and all. Thank you so much for joining in. No promises. I'm currently just kind of going with the flow, but it's my intention to do some broadcasts later today and tonight, more so tonight. Big love.